We've got Marina Efstat. I say Efstat because, how do you say your last name?
Efstathiadis. I think it was about a year and a half ago now. My dad had a brain aneurysm. And my dad's like, you don't like rules, do you? And I'm just like, no. I'm made for anything. I learned to love myself.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit. What gave you that mindset? Like,
I'm in a building stage in my life right now, okay? A lot of people don't understand that.
you do well in real estate. Like,
Conquer any obstacle that comes my way. Just respect yourself.
where it's obviously so competitive, it's unreal.
But you know what? No, like, I have a passion for fashion.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take a quick break from our show to say a massive thank you and a big shout out to one of our amazing sponsors, Dave DiStefano. Dave is a mortgage broker with over 13 years in the business, and Dave has a great rapport with the network of lenders, including big banks, credit unions, trust companies, financial institutions, and private funds. He will work on your behalf to help you find the best mortgage with the most agreeable terms and the lowest interest rate. After meeting Dave many times and having great discussions with him, he provides a level of confidence and comfort in knowing that he is going to take care of you. If you want to reach out to Dave, you can find his office on 6293 Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. For more information or to make an appointment for any of your mortgage needs, call 905-933-1090. That's 905-933-1090. And thanks for listening. Back to the show.
What's going on, Meeting Gold listeners? It's Chris Battaglia, 416 Coffee, best coffee in the world. Use the coupon code Meeting Gold to get 10% off your first order at 416 Coffee. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Meeting Gold Show. I want to thank you for joining us today. We've got another interview with a past guest, but we had kind of like a joint thing. Now you've got your own episode. I know Matt was a little jealous. We've got Marina Efstat. I say Efstat because, how do you say your last name?
Efstathiadis.
So I'm not going to bother saying that, but Marina Efstat, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Marina's a real estate agent in the Toronto area, but we kind of want to talk about her recent successes outside of real estate, but also recent challenges, negative things, but turned positive.
That
right?
became positive.
That became positive.
Yeah.
Okay, take me back. What do I need to know about you? You know, you're like a 10-year-old girl and you're growing up with your parents. What was that like?
Okay, so my dad has like always been my hero. So he's literally worked his ass off. He initially worked for Bell Canada, and then he decided to start his own company, which is a very successful electrical company now in the city. My mom, another hero of mine, was a stay-at-home mom, and she, sacrificed doing a lot of things that she could have done for herself in order to raise a family. And I had two twin brothers who are younger than me, and let's just say there was a lot on my mom's plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stay at home. I have a stay at home mom as well, and it can be more work than any other job out there. In fact, I think it is.
I honestly think people undervalue women who stay at home and are homemakers, because you're taking care of the kids, you're doing the laundry, you're doing the cooking, you're doing the cleaning. The kitchen never closes. My mom would make a joke when we were younger and be like, all right, it's 8:00, kitchen is closed, because she got so sick of cleaning dishes constantly. The sink was just never empty. Let's just put it that way.
What's your what value do you hold to your mom for being stay at home? What value did that provide you that maybe her working outside of the home wouldn't have?
Well, she raised us, right? Lunches, we would get picked up and she would make us a home cooked meal for lunch, and our friends would be able to come over because their parents were working, right? So they didn't get that driving back and picking up, dropping off, home cooked meals at lunch instead of maybe sandwiches or whatever that you eat in the cafeteria. She drove us everywhere. So all of our extracurricular activities, she was always present for them because she was able to be present for them. And we didn't have daycares or anything like that, or, not that it's bad, but
I see what you're saying,
our
though.
mom raised us.
Your mom raised you, and honestly, that helped. It's clear that helped build a relationship with your mother.
Yeah.
One thing I will make a note, though, is a lot of people say when you're younger, you don't understand your parents, but as you get older, you begin to understand why they did things more instead of just resenting them for what they did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sounds like your dad
resented
worked
my
a
mom.
lot. and can you? I could totally be guessing this, but I feel like you told me one time your dad, you guys were actually in a little bit of financial trouble when he was starting the company. Obviously not now.
Yeah.
But what was that like? The relationship with your dad while he was building the company when you were so young?
Oh, I mean, we obviously supported him, right? I remember like being on the basement floor, like scrolling through pages while he was studying for his master's to become an electrician. And, you know, that's why I say like I idolize him and he's my hero and he's kind of why I work so hard and why I am the entrepreneur that I am today.
Did you have that mindset though when you were younger?
I mean, I would say, okay, so my grandparents lived next door to us, and I would say I spent a lot of my childhood over at their place because my mom, like I said, had two twins, right? Like
Interesting.
So they're younger than me. They needed a lot more attention than I did. So, you know, we had the help of my grandparents. So I would always be at their house, and then my mom would be able to kind of attend my brothers. But not any resentment. I mean, obviously, as a teenager, I never wanted to listen to what my parents told me to do. I was like, no. And my dad's like, you don't like rules, do you? And I'm just like, no, I don't like rules. I hate them.
What were some rifts that came into that relationship between you and your dad at an earlier stage? Like, do you have any that come to mind?
Not with my dad, but maybe more with my mom because she was so attentive to us and was like so available to be a part of our lives because she wasn't at work 9 to 5 every day.
So you had higher expectations for her.
She was just very involved to the point where it was like too much involvement that it would like cause tension,
Yeah.
I guess.
Do you in some ways now with your relationship with your parents, are you still close to them?
Oh, they're
or?
my best friends. I
That's
love them.
amazing.
And everything that they said while I was growing up that I basically like hated, I actually respect now. And I agree. My kids are not going to be having sleepovers at other kids' houses because I don't know what's happening in that house. Or I'd be like, why can't I sleep over at my friend's house? No, they can come sleep here.
Right,
I get it now.
right. You know, and it's a testament. It goes to show you understand your parents more as you get older.
Yeah.
What was one of the things that you realized, like, as I get older with my parents, I always think some things hit me and I'm like, man, what would I do without them?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you subconsciously rely on them so much
Yeah.
to just be there when nobody else is.
Yeah.
Like when you feel like, who am I going to talk to about my recent successes?
Yeah.
Like really, sometimes you feel nobody cares other than your mom when you call her.
Or like the negative energy you might get from people
Exactly.
if you do talk about the opportunities.
Have there been moments that have kind of hit you and been like, man, I just take this for granted?
Like with my parents?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I think it was about a year and a half ago now, my dad had a brain aneurysm, and it was, I think, the scariest thing I've ever had to deal with in my life, because we thought we were going to lose him. And it was during COVID, like during the pandemic. So we weren't even allowed to visit him in the hospital after his surgery. It was so hard to communicate, right, with like doctors and everything. And that was, I think, one of like my really like darkest times. And it scared the crap out of me. Yeah.
What was there like a little bit of regret in that when that happened, or what was the emotion that kind of went through your mind?
Yeah, because you take time for granted, right? So right now we're trying to plan a family trip for Christmas, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. Whereas like before I'd be like, no, I don't want to spend a whole week and like go away. Like now I'm just like, no, I want to go away with my parents and my brothers and just us, the family, enjoy it. Because time is so valuable, and like I feel like we just kind of take advantage of the fact that we have our parents every day, but they can be gone in a second.
Yeah. Where does that kind of come into now, your everyday life now? Like, do you find yourself trying to stop and be present more?
Yes. And also it actually like came into with like materialistic things. So like I love fashion. Obviously everybody knows that, right? But I liked, the Louis and then this and then that. And like now I'm just like, I don't care to show that I have this or that. And like life is just, I want to live very simple and travel, obviously.
Yeah.
But like just memories and being with good people and friends and family. Because I also think friends could be considered family as well, right? You don't have to be blood related.
What's your social situation, Ben? You seem to have a lot of friends.
I do, and I have a good 3 or 4 that are like my soul sisters and my close ones that I trust with practically anything and everything.
Do you find as you've, because you do well in real estate, like you have a pretty solid career. For most people who are in the Toronto area, where it's obviously so competitive, it's unreal. Do you find that those relationships, they kind of had some tight spots or rough spots when you were trying to grow?
Oh, it's so funny that you say this, actually. Yes. So I'm in a building stage in my life right now. Okay. I love having fun. I like to party. I like to do all of that. Yes. But I'm in a point in my life right now where none of that really like serves me anymore. am focusing on growing Made, my clothing line, to something that I just have this huge vision for. And of course, I'm still a real estate agent, so I'm still running a business in real estate, right? And I would say that a lot of people don't, like my friends, don't understand that. And like
the maturing side.
The maturing side of like, yeah, I don't want to go to a club and get fucked up. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm over it.
Yeah.
And people
There's a time and a place.
There's a time and a place, and people aren't respecting my boundaries anymore. And like, it's fine if you want to cut me off, or if you want to, you know, get upset that I'm not out partying, then that's a reflection of yourself. That has nothing to do with me. If you can't support that I'm trying to like build a brand here, and I would love to like go for walks or like go to Pilates classes or do gym classes, you know what I
mom
love
stuff.
do mom stuff without the kids.
I'm just messing with you.
The kids. Without the kids.
What gave you that mindset? Like that maturing mindset. What gave that to you?
I think just with growth, like it comes a lot more responsibility and like a lot more bills and a lot more, like I backtrack myself, right? Like if I go out, like this weekend, I was in New York City for my 31st champagne birthday. And let me tell you guys, I'm still recovering. And it's like backtracking me a little bit. And I don't like that feeling. I did it because obviously it's my birthday.
Yeah.
But I mean, and if it's for birthdays, I'll do it. But like to go out on a regular Saturday night on King West, like it does not serve me. Like we're most likely going to get shot nowadays anyways.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's horrible down there.
You know what? I find it interesting. There's a point, I think, in everybody's life when they have to face the reality that they're going to have to mature and they're going to have to grow from this negative situation or the negative people around them, or they're just going to stay where they are.
Exactly.
Do you think there was a little bit in your parents that maybe subconsciously pushed you to grow up, like to live a mature life, I guess?
Yeah, you know what? They gave me a lot of opportunity growing up. So like I was very fortunate. They paid for my college, right? Like I didn't have to save up or anything like that for that. And they allowed me to go to Greece every summer, and they would like pay my plane ticket and everything. So I got to experience a whole different life from like 12 years old up until 21, where I started working full time. And then that's when I started taking responsibility for more things. But I guess that like made me more mature because you're traveling, you're learning how to do things by yourself. Like I was with my grandparents thereafter, but I mean,
I hear you.
I would go with my friends to the islands, and like I would have to work all year and save up my money to pay for that trip, but they would at least pay for my like plane ticket, for instance, right?
So definitely showing a level of support financially.
Yeah.
Did you find that you appreciated that in the moment, or did you appreciate that more now?
I think I appreciate it more now. In
Why
the
is
moment,
that?
I felt like I was entitled to it for some reason.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
So I think in a newer generation that we're in, my generation, there is a sense of entitlement in a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a testament to parents? Like, some people would say your parents shouldn't have offered to pay for your plane ticket because you felt entitled. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you don't feel entitled now.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, what influences entitlement in children in a younger generation? Is it parents? Is it experiences? What do you think?
I don't know, actually. I think, see, they always made us work. Like as kids, like we were working from like 13 years old. We had to, if we wanted cell phones or anything like that, we had to buy it ourselves. But like they raised us in that way. And I love that they did that. And if I have kids in the future, I would do the exact same thing. I don't really know. I don't think it's the parenting that makes you feel entitled. I mean, some parents do spoil their kids and they should like set boundaries, right? Yeah. But we were like punished and stuff. Like if I got a bad grade, like my parents would take my phone away from me and I wouldn't see it for like maybe a week or like a couple of days.
What do you think about the parenting strategy? Some parents say, oh, I show my kids how much it costs to run my business or to live in the home that we live in or to have a family of 3 children. What do you think about that?
I think that's actually smart because it kind of puts things into perspective for kids, right? Like if I had known what my dad's like mortgage payments were, what the grocery bills were.
And by that time you would have said $500 on groceries a month. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Because now I'm feeling it. Like now I go to the grocery store and even if I'm buying 2 bags of stuff, it's like $100 and I'm just like, holy, money just goes out.
Yeah. See, it seems that you understand your parents more as you get older. But let's go back to, you made a good point. Your parents made you work. Yeah. Did you want to work?
I actually didn't mind it. I think I always had that like hustle in me because I knew that working equated to me living the life that I wanted.
Like your dad.
Exactly. And my dad is like a hustler, right? Like he took a huge risk at what I think it was like in his early 30s, leaving like a bell job that was still a good job, but to do something for his family to give them an even better life. Like we used to drive to New York every Easter to go visit our family because we couldn't afford flights for 5 people in the family. And like now obviously we fly and like we have nice vacations and all of that, but it's because of the work that he put in to give us that life.
Do you think that caused some rifts in like the relationship between maybe your mom and your dad? Or did you see that your mom fully supported him?
My mom always supported him and my dad always supported my mom staying home because there were times obviously where he was like, it would be easier if we had dual income coming in. And then he would see like for her to go to work part-time even, like it's still, who's going to help with the kids? Yeah. And my dad didn't want strangers raising us, right? Like, yeah. So.
And I think you make a valid point. Stay-at-home moms are huge assets to growing a healthy family. Now, for some people, they just can't do that. And you have to make that sacrifice. Yeah. Because you've got to work 2 jobs that are typically 9 to 5. Yeah. And you can't be from home. Yeah. But I want to touch on now recent activities that have gone on in your life. You mentioned to me that your mom went through some health issues and your dad went through multiple health issues as well. Yeah. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, so like I said, my dad a year and a half ago had a brain aneurysm, scariest thing ever. A year later, so like let's fast forward now, his coils that were in, I guess, the veins, you would say, started to kind of push out again. So he had to go in for a second surgery, which was so scary because you think about it, right? Like what's the probability
of on your brain?
Yeah, and the second time around too, like what's the probability of you making it through that one? So he had the best surgeon though. So we're so grateful. And like, I pray to God all the time. We're very big, Christians in our family. So we're very big believers. But anyways, I think my faith and my dad's faith, honestly, like helped him actually survive what he went through. My mom, so like during the second surgery, everything was fine after it. And then I think it was like maybe a month later, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer. So that was another really scary moment, right? Because you hear the word cancer and automatically you're just like, what? She's going to die. Yeah. Yeah. And she's going through that every day, right? Because you're in remission, which I didn't really know about this, but you're in remission for 5 years. So yes, we got rid of it. They had to remove like lymph nodes from her area here and stuff. And in her breast, they removed some tissue. But now it's been a year, so she's been good for a year. But again, I think it's 6 months, she's going for mammogram, she's getting tested, because within these 5 years of remission, it could come back. It can come back in other places as well, right? So you're living in constant fear.
Yeah.
For her.
What's that like, living in fear?
So I don't know what's gone on with me lately, but I feel like I'm very, like, what's the word?
Closed off?
Like my emotions. Like I think
You're like
I don't
a
know
wall.
how to, I'm like a wall. Like I don't know how to show emotion because I feel like I've gone through a lot of trauma where like I just have completely just like cut it off now. Like I just don't show the emotion. So like she doesn't even know that like I obviously care as much as I do, but like I do obviously.
Yeah.
And
So you make a good point, because I think we're similar in that way, where you'll want to express those emotions, but you don't. You just don't. And then you actually get mad at yourself for not.
well, then I feel bad after, but then I also don't know how to say sorry about for it because then it's just awkward. I don't know. It's so weird.
So what, rustling with that in your mind, can you kind of take me through that? Like, what does your mind go through when, you want to express an emotion like that with your mom?
It's just weird. Like it
Like,
feels,
it just shuts down.
Yeah, it feels weird to like show it.
Did you ever have a, like you see sons and fathers or like, moms and daughters, and they'll be super, like talk about their feelings all the time, or it'll be more like keep it a little bit hide. Like, for example, let's say like your mom, if she was crying, would she hide behind and just go into a room, not express and not showcase it?
Yeah, she doesn't like showing her emotions.
Interesting.
Either.
So
yeah.
So is that now in you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Interesting.
And my dad too, like he doesn't show emotion. So when my dad was in the hospital the first time around, my mom was like breaking down on the couch. My brothers were just pacing back and forth like typical men, like just like, and they had to leave because they couldn't handle like the stress. And I was just like the rock. I was the one calling the doctors, booking the appointments. Like I had to step up hard, but then I'd go home after and like bawl my eyes out, but no one would see it because I was breaking down. And then I just remember I needed like 2 days. Once my dad was like fine, I just needed like 2 days of no communication to anybody because like I just needed to like re-heal like myself.
So what is that, dealing with that? You feel like you can't express your feelings
Yeah.
because you need to be the strong one.
Yeah.
Is that a positive or a negative?
I think it could go both ways. I think it could be positive in a sense where, you keep your face straight and like that's it. You don't let people like show that you're like upset or sad or angry, right? You can hold it in. But then again, like it's also really good to like communicate and like release.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've gotten way better at it because I could say actually me being a little bit more like closed off and not showing emotion also had affected my relationship at the time.
Yeah. Can you touch on that? So you were in a serious relationship.
Yeah.
And then you guys went through a rough patch.
We went through a rough patch.
Called it off.
So, okay. So, yeah, we were together. Matt and I were together. Obviously, everyone knows that. And we had broken up. He broke up with me, actually, amidst the time of, like, when my dad was in his second surgery. So, like, everything kind of just trickled down on me. And I was like, holy shit, like, this is just,
Matt's
like,
not a bad guy.
He's not a bad guy. He needed to do it. I needed him to do it. And I needed it for myself because I think the lack of communication and the lack of showing emotion and stuff like that towards him, like talking about my feelings or talking about how I'm feeling, or rather than just closing off and maybe being a little bit, I guess, immature about it.
I would honestly say, yeah, and not in a bad way I say this, but it
Yeah.
is, because I'm in the same boat. It's an
Yeah.
immature way of dealing with your emotions. It's
Yeah.
just shutting them off.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it can also be immature if you just cry at a drop of a bell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I didn't know how to like explain certain things to him. And he also needed to kind of grow himself because he took communicating as like an attack, where it wasn't an attack. It was like, let's talk about this and let's figure it out. So like the way I maybe like vocalized things, he perceived it as an attack, where I
Gets
thought,
defensive.
and he would get defensive, whereas I thought I was just communicating because, again, I grew up in a European family. Our kitchen table, when we're sitting down for dinner, we're like yelling at each other, and people would think we're fighting. We're not fighting. That's just how we communicate. But I had to learn certain things and like certain insecurities that I may have had that I brought into the relationship from like previous traumas of like past relationships. I had to kind of like work on myself and fix, and he had a lot of fixing to do too, right? So
Did you find that you were always trying to communicate, or because I see like a resemblance to how you also grew up in the relationship that you had.
Yeah.
And there's some similarities in you grew up this way, so now you're more like this in this relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
There's one that sticks out, and I could be wrong, but when you would have an argument with your parents and whatnot, was there a time of sit down, talk about it, or was it just forget about it, move on, act like nothing happened?
It was kind of like a forget about it, move on. But now we do like sit down family talks, and we talk about stuff.
When did you start doing that?
I don't even know. I think it would probably have been like in like the last 5 to like 6 years, where we like sit down and have like family discussions. Yeah.
So where did that influence you in the relationship?
Yeah, so I would try to like talk to him, right? Like I would communicate. But
it's hard
he
for
wouldn't
you.
let me because
Yeah.
he would think it was like an attack. So he would literally go in defense mode. But like I was just communicating my feelings, which I felt were sometimes invalidated. But then he also felt the same way. So it was just like lack of communication. And then we spent like 4 months apart. And I think it was the best thing that literally ever happened to us, because he has become night and day. Like the way he communicates now, I'm like, it makes me love him so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I lacked my feminine energy with him, I think, because I had to bring out more masculine energy, because I felt like I had to like
Be strong?
be strong all the time. And now I'm like feminine. Even it comes to like even changing like a TV program, and I don't know how to do it, even though I kind of do know how to do it. I just don't want to. I'll be like, oh babe, can you do this? And he'll do it. And he like wants to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and we both lacked it. Like he was maybe lacking a little bit of like the masculine energy. I was lacking feminine energy, and we just worked on ourselves completely. And
It comes down to communication.
yeah.
And
influences. Like
And
I
it
feel
influences big time for sure. And what's interesting is that affects everything. Your communication with, here's the interesting part though. Your communication maybe with Matt might have been not so great when you guys were dating it the first time around. But then your communication with your clients might have been superb.
yeah.
How would you rate your communication with your clients now? And how would you rate your communication with Matt now?
I think with Matt, I feel like so safe. I can talk to him like about absolutely anything and communicate it so well that like I'm never afraid it's going to be an argument with him.
And then clients, is it better, stronger now?
Yeah. With clients, it's always like there's like fine lines you obviously never
Yeah,
cross, right?
yeah.
But actually, yes, it is better, because you know what I've learned in the 4 months. It's great that you brought this up. Actually, in the 4 months of me working on myself, I learned that I learned to love myself and learn to set boundaries with people, because clients can take advantage of you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like, we're just sitting there, oh yeah, okay, no problem. Okay, yeah, I'll do this. But you know what? No, like my time is valuable as well. And like, I know I go bend over backwards for my clients. Like I go to the extremes of what I need to. And I would always just like let things go. And I actually recently communicated to a client that I felt that my work was not being valued. And I don't care to like fire people anymore. I don't care if I get fired. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I've learned to respect myself and respect my boundaries and to love myself. And I think that a lot of people who lack the love for themselves will get trampled on, will allow for any form of behavior towards them. And it's so unfortunate, but like the best advice I can give anybody, whether you're a man or a woman, like just respect yourself and love yourself, and so much more opportunity will come with that, and so much more respect.
What didn't you love about yourself?
I don't know. Like, I think So I tried to like look back on like my childhood and be like, okay, what is it about me? Like I had an anxious attachment style, I would say. Okay.
Interesting.
So it means like I'm anxious, and like, for instance, this goes back to like Matt and I. He had an avoidant attachment style. So like if I would see him like pulling away, my anxiety would be like, no, come back. Like, what do you mean? And he's an avoidant, right? So he'd be like, whoa, this is too much for me. So it was clashing. But it's funny because these two personality types are the most like drawn to
Compatible
each
if they
other.
communicate.
Yeah, and they're the most drawn to each other. So anyways, I was like, hey, what's causing me to have this anxious attachment style? So like I had said, I grew up a lot with my grandparents. Every summer I was in Greece with them. They also lived beside us up until I was about 13 years old. So I grew up with them the majority of my like childhood. And then they ended up at 13 taking off and leaving to go to Greece like indefinitely. And I think my anxious attachment style came from feeling kind of like abandoned from them.
That's really interesting that you brought that
That's what
up.
I learned about myself from doing all this like self-development. And then that's what I knew I was bringing into my relationship.
So when you realized that, you found the problem,
Yeah.
how did you go about creating the solution?
I felt like so much weight lifted off of my shoulders when I figured out what it was and what caused, and I was also highly depressed throughout high school, and I would say college as well. And I was like on antidepressants during high school. And I just hated, like I was on like zombie, like mono, just like living, but not living. And I think, again, my depression stemmed from my grandparents leaving. Like all of that, just like the anxiety, everything, like it just all makes sense to me now. So now I'm like, I don't remember the last time I was depressed. Like a year ago to this date, like let's say, I could say, oh yeah, I used to still get depressed to the point where like I couldn't get out of bed and like it was hard. I'm not on antidepressants or anything like that anymore, and I haven't been for a very long time. But my anxiety was so much worse too last year. And like, I don't know what it's been, but the last 6 months to a year of like doing the work that I needed to get to where I am, like I could say that I like am in control of my mind. There's obviously days where it's going to be a little bit hard and the weather and all of that, but overall I'm like very in control of like how I react to things and like my emotions.
So there's going to be people that are listening to this.
Yeah.
I think this is a great episode to talk about dealing with emotions, because quite honestly, if people can understand this, what you're talking about themselves more, I think their professional lives will grow so much more.
Yeah.
How have you found your professional life?
Oh, my professional life is amazing. I mean, I just started something that I've always had a passion for.
And this actually, wait, real quick, let me say, you started this when you were at your lowest point.
I started this when I was at my lowest point, and honestly, I'm very grateful for the breakup that happened between Matt and I, because real estate reminded me so much of him, and I could not open MLS. Like I could not do a showing for the longest time because of the pain I was in, because it was a constant reminder of him and I, because our relationship started as friends, right? Like
you were both real estate agents.
Yeah, and we were friends. We would work together, and then like when we were together, it would be so exciting. Like most couples like watch movies together, but we love to just like sit at our computers and like talk business and like collab and like kind of just like think of ideas of what we can do to grow as realtors and in other ways as well, right? As entrepreneurs. So it was very hard for me to like talk
about that part up.
Oh, I couldn't I just literally, real estate broke my heart. Like it killed me. I had to leave like the brokerage that I was at, because we're at the same brokerage. Like it was just, there was a lot going on. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I have a passion for fashion. That rhymes.
Passion for
fashion. For fashion. I have a passion for fashion.
Plug it. Let's hear it.
Yeah. And that's where I created Made, because I was like, okay, I want to do something that I love, and I want to inspire other women, and I want them to like be able to get through their dark times. And this isn't just clothing. Like what I have planned for this is much, much bigger. Like I want to build a community of women who are dealing with trauma, who are dealing with hard times, like anything, even just women who want to start a brand themselves and don't know where to begin or anything like that. And I'm going to start doing like events and all of that. And but this is how I created Made, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to call it Made because I'm made for anything. I'm made to conquer any obstacle that comes my way. And so is anyone else who wears the brand.
Where's the brand? Which you're wearing right now?
I'm wearing the new tracksuit that's going to be coming out. I'm so excited to launch it.
Coming soon. Maybe Meeting Gold listeners will get a discount on that.
Ooh, yeah.
There's a collab.
Something out like that.
So when you started Made,
Yep.
was the idea out of some form of, and don't take this in a bad way, but desperation for change? Or was it something that you had wanted to grow outside of the real estate and all that you were doing?
It was something I wanted to grow, not desperation, but the thing is, I get messages like daily of girls being like, what are you wearing?
Yeah, your DMs are...
My DMs are, and guys, I apologize if I don't reply right away. Like I probably get like close to 100 a day, and then it just builds up because if I'm driving, yeah, it's bad. So, but it'll be like, what are you wearing? Where did you get that from? And I'm just like, okay, wait, why am I not making these things that I'm wearing? Because like, I love this stuff. Like it's my favorite thing to do is talk about fashion. Guys, I barely am scrolling on Instagram, or if you look at my explore page, it's all fashion stuff, like all females, quotes, all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm on Pinterest every night. I'm on Pinterest just looking at like clothing. That's my favorite thing to do. So I decided to just say, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take a risk right now. This is the entrepreneur in me. Yes, it's going to be hard, but I will not fail. And that's it.
It's definitely bigger for you than the money.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously, you need the money to come in because you want to grow the brand, of course.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to spend too much of your personal income on this. This isn't $1 million startup, but it's definitely something that you want to see grow.
Yeah.
Right? What is the motivation behind the growth in terms of just completely money aside?
It's building a community. So like I want to be able to do like boot camps with other girls, and then we do like a boot camp at like a gym, and we're all wearing like our activewear together. I want to be able to do like seminars where I can kind of teach other women how to go about growing a brand and like what the steps are, and like motivational stuff. Cause like I see, you know, my friends who are single, like going through hard times with like dudes these days. Like it's just horrible, the dating scene. And it's like it goes back to respect yourself and love yourself, because once you can master those two things, you are literally untouchable. Like no one can mess with you.
And I think what I've seen, and just from an outside perspective, you have gotten closer relationships with people by being that way, by actually loving yourself more. You've built close relationships. It sounds like when you say that, people might think, oh, it closes doors. No, it doesn't.
No.
It closes doors to the wrong people.
Exactly. You know what it does? It weans away all the people who actually aren't really your supporters and like your people.
How do you find your people?
I love my people.
But where, like, just... you know, past parties, networking, like where do you?
Okay. Well, you've met a lot of my girlfriends. Yeah. So, some of them I met in college, and then some of them I met at Joey's, the restaurant, because we all used to serve together. And let me tell you, we used to have like screaming matches sometimes, but those are like my blood sisters.
Those are memories.
Like, those are memories. And like, I loved working for Joey's. Shout out Joey Restaurants. It's funny because like any girl that works at Joey's, it's kind of like the same type of personality, and like we all just get along. But
yeah, because I remember when I did this shoot with you and like your friends, very similar personalities. Like they stick up for themselves. They've got opinions.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. No, I think that's fantastic. It's clear that you've attracted, as you've gotten older and learned, you've attracted your tribe. You've attracted the people that you want to be surrounded by.
Yeah. I've cut out friends of like 20 years. Like I don't talk to certain family members because, just like I said, like if you're not going to respect me, like I don't have time for you.
Okay, as we close off, piece of advice for yourself, what advice would you give your past self? You can take a second to think about it.
Yeah, okay, good. What advice would I give my past self? Just live in the moment. Don't stress out. Manifest, pray, whatever you want to call it, and be grateful. Like, even the problems that I have in my life, I'm grateful for it because other people don't even have an opportunity to like have those problems. And like, that's what I've taught myself.
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah. Like, for instance, like, like obviously starting a new company or like a new brand comes with a lot more like bills to pay. And most people would be like, oh my God. And I'm just like, no, like I'm grateful I even have this opportunity to like have these kind of bills because that means that like I'm like leveling up.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Kate, where can somebody buy the maidwear? I will say, like I'm a guy, so not all of it's made for guys. However, the black one, I like it.
Okay, so I'm doing all these myself, right? So like I'm doing all the measurements, everything, and like I kind of like effed up on the last one, and the pants I made them so big, and like Matt wears them around the house now. I'm like, maybe I should do a unisex line. I have the measurements for it now because it clearly over measured on that.
But see, it's interesting. It comes with learning lessons.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, and it's laughable. Look at it like, yeah, because you spend money on those. Like, a lot of money, and they're big.
I can't use them.
Yeah, like, and so, but see, it's just like embracing the moment. Like at the end of the day, you can never get a second back, but you can always make more money. You can always replace the money that you spent on.
Yeah, and like it is what it is, right? Like it's like, okay, I look at it as a positive. Okay, now I have actually a line that could fit men. So it's like keep it in my back pocket for later on. And
we talked about that too.
Yeah.
I think it's totally something that you should get into as you guys grow. What is the website?
Madeapparel.ca. It's a Shopify store and
super easy to buy off of.
Really
clean. I've actually, a couple people said they really like the website to me.
That's amazing.
And I didn't even make it.
That's amazing.
I just made the video. But
shout out Umbi.
Warped. No, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. If you guys want to buy or sell with Marina, because from this podcast, they didn't really learn anything about you business-wise, but quite frankly, I think that's a good thing. I think you want to attract the people that just like you. Yeah. They like you. They want to work with you because they like you. So where can people find you there?
My Instagram handle is Marina Efstathiadis. It's really long, but I'm sure
if you just look up EF or go under who I'm following, that works too.
Yeah.
Perfect. Guys, thank you so much for watching or listening. I appreciate it. And we will see you next week on another episode of the Meeting Gold Show. See ya.